Hello, everyone, and today, welcome to another episode of Hoops with Coop. I'm your host, Noel, and today I wanted to talk about two really big topics that are going around the NBA. One of which is the Ja Morant incident with the gun, at the nightclub or wherever he was, and, the aftermath behind that with the Grizzlies, potential suspension, all of that. And also, I wanted to talk about the Jokic stat padding, the whole thing with Kendrick Perkins, JJ Redick, all of that transpired last week and today. Now, I don't even know where to begin. Both stories are just kind of crazy for their own different reasons. On one hand, we have racial bias for the MVP. On the other hand, we have a future superstar with a new sneaker deal, Powerade commercial, who just got not even caught, put himself out there with a gun at a strip club. So I think I'm gonna start with Ja, just because that one's a little bit more straightforward and to the point. So Ja got, first and foremost, let's rewind it back a little bit when it comes to stories with Ja. You had the Pacers incident where a lot of Pacers people that worked, with within the team, they were waiting at the team bus in Memphis. Grizzly, apparently it was a truck or some sort of like Jeep, pulls up, waving a gun, not a gun actually. Let me rephrase that. They saw a red dot, like a red beam, and didn't know where it came from or like who it was. They assumed it was Ja and his people. That whole situation. Even the security person was like, "That is a gun," and that became like a little bit of an issue. It was investigated. Nothing really came about it. So, that story goes. Then there's the story that came out. I believe it was like it was like probably like a couple days before the gun incident at the nightclub, where Ja's mother got into a dispute with an employee at Foot Locker. I'm pretty sure it was Foot Locker. Then he rolled in nine deep, nine of his boys, and they were like, "Listen, what time he get off work?" And they were like trying to fight this dude, trying to jump this dude at Foot Locker. And then 4 days after that incident, apparently, he got into a fight with a 17-year-old at a pickup game and went home, grabbed his gun, and came back and like threatened him with the gun. Now, I got so many questions for that. Why was Ja Morant at a pickup game, especially with like teenagers at like most of the people that are like surrounded by like teenagers that are in the NBA at their own like basketball camps, in like in like foresty areas and like middle of nowhere, like five different gyms and all that. My man's at a pickup. He was at the pickup basketball. He was at the park, just ready to throw down with a 17-year-old, whatever. And then, there was like the gun gesture that was like kind of similar to like Gilbert Arenas. Like when Gilbert Arenas got caught with his gun, he was doing the gun gesture in the team huddle before a game. So I forgot who hits the three against the Rockets, but then Ja starts doing, hand pistols. I'm like, this guy does not care. Like he really just does not care about his image. He just doesn't care about anything. And then they play the Nuggets. They lose to the Nuggets. This is what it is. The man goes on IG Live, waving his gun around with strippers in the background with no shirt on. What is this man doing? And mind you, days before that, when the story comes out about the Foot Locker employee and the 17-year-old and all that, Powerade drops a commercial saying like we're back, and the first person that they're using for their comeback is Ja Morant. That's crazy. Like that's just like the first person that they're gonna come back with is Ja Morant, and then boom, story about him fighting these young kids. Boom, IG Live with the gun and the strippers. Like, and then the Nike comes on and they're like, listen, hopefully he gets better, pretty much. Um, but then on a serious note, he really comes out and is like, yeah, I apologize. Apparently he's going to be at least suspended for like 2 games according to the team. Then he comes out with like an apology, taking responsibility and the whole nine, and saying, I need to, stay away from the team and work out better ways when I'm stressed. This is apparently what he does when he's stressed out. And of course, the NBA and like, oh my God, Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, Mike Breen on Sunday night. Jesus, they were going in about how he took great, he took responsibility, accountability, and the people around him, the people around. It was his IG live. It was his gun. He posted it. The incident with the 17-year-old. They didn't mention anything about people around him. It was him that went to go get the gun and came back. It was his comments that were saying, what time does this guy get off work with the Foot Locker employee? This is all him. This isn't an entourage thing. I guess you could say it because of, him coming in 9 people deep. But really, this is just a story about Ja being himself or portraying himself as this person or whatever. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. This is all on him. And sure, you might think he's taking accountability, but then a story comes out where Steven Adams tries to hold him accountable, and that's the same night he comes out with the IG Live. So at the end of the day, are we really going to feel sorry for him? Do we really got to play this game? Like, it sucks that, he's wasting it, but he's wasting it. This has nothing to do with has nothing to do with his entourage. This has nothing to do with how we perceive players and all of that stuff. First off, you should never look at another athlete as a role model because you don't know them personally. You shouldn't. Like, that's just step one. Step two, you can't blame us for how we look at someone when they're the ones doing it. Like, Paul Pierce is coming out and being like, you don't understand what he's going through. Sure, I don't understand what he's going through, but I can at least make an opinion from what he's giving us. And that is what he's giving us. Same way someone on the street could say, I don't know what he's going through. But guess what? Whatever you're putting yourself out there, that's all we can go by, and that's just how it is with Ja. And it sucks, but it is what it is. Like, he's making terrible choices, and the choices he's making really aren't affecting me or affecting the people that like people I know or that have an opinion on it. He put himself out there doing this. No one forced him to do all of this. No one. So, does it suck? Yes, but at the end of the day, you got to learn from it, and that's what he has to do. He has to learn from it, and who knows if he will? Who knows if he's going to play again this season? Apparently, according to CBA rules, he would get a 50-game suspension if the gun was on the team flight, which most likely it would have been from Memphis to Denver, or I believe it would have technically been Houston to Denver, but either way, it was on the team plane. So, it sucks, and probably nothing's really gonna happen. Maybe a suspension, but who knows? In Adam Silver's NBA, Nike has pretty much been like, he's taking responsibility. AKA that means we just gave this guy a shoe deal. We're expecting his shoes to do big numbers. We ain't talking about anything. Same thing goes for Powerade. Hey, we just came back. This might be good, pub. We don't got anything to say. So that's really all it is with Ja. Let's do better. Like, no one told you to put that on IG Live. And like, some people I've seen on Twitter want to argue about, oh, what's wrong with him having a gun? No one said that. No one said that there's nothing wrong for the man to have a gun. That's his Second Amendment. Have fun with it. But you don't got to be putting it on IG Live, especially if you're an NBA player and you know the rules and regulations as to what you're allowed to do with a firearm and like all that stuff in regards of like the team playing, the locker room, all that stuff. So that's really on him. Like, I don't care that he has a gun. Probably I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of players in the league had a gun. But guess what? They don't tote it around on IG Live at a strip club on a random like Thursday night. Like, they don't do that. So who really cares at the end of the day? We only care about what you put in front of us, and that is what he's putting in front of us. So that's all we can really go off of. So who knows if Ja comes back? The Grizzlies still the second seed. They still have a good team with Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, and Tyus Jones is probably one of the better backups in the league. Great facilitator. Does not make mistakes. Decent enough stroke where he could hit a couple threes, but I mean, Ja is the key to that team. The Grizzlies probably won't be going too far in the playoffs if Ja ends up not playing at all for the rest of the season. But who knows? Maybe they do not find that he had the gun in his possession on the team plane, and he's allowed to come back for the playoffs. So that's really all I have to say about Ja and that whole situation. I just find it crazy that he did all that for the most part. It's just, dude, what are you doing? Messing up the bag. But anyway, I really wanted to talk about this Kendrick Perkins stuff. So Kendrick Perkins last week said Nikola Jokic is stat padding. Now, if you don't know what stat padding is, it's very self-explanatory. You are legit padding your stats by any means necessary, whether it's points and you're checking up shots, forcing it, um, or you're grabbing rebounds that pretty much boxing out your teammates for rebounds. And when it comes to assists, you are passing up shots to just get your assist totals up. Now, the reason why he said this was because Jokic tends to not shoot a lot for being an MVP candidate, probably going to win his third straight MVP. And he was saying how, someone that doesn't shoot a lot, and it's crazy how his assist totals in the beginning of the season were at like 9.7, and then it got to 10.1, and all this stuff midway through the season. And he was, padding his stats, excuse me. But come to find out, he kept going a little bit deeper, with it. So JJ Redick comes back and is like, Jokic is definitely not padding those stats. That's just how he plays. He truly doesn't care. JJ Redick, I believe it was right before Kendrick Perkins came out and said that. JJ Redick actually did a game for ESPN in Denver and got to talk to Michael Malone, Jokic, and all of his teammates. And he was pretty much like, look, I talked to him. They just said he really doesn't care about any of the stuff. He's definitely probably one of the farthest people that would even attempt to pad his stats. And if you really look at the statistics, I'm a big Jokic fan. I will not hide it. I will not sugarcoat it. So I do watch a lot of Nuggets games on NBA TV. So I listen to their broadcast, and they have a term what they call the somber double. Now, what that is a lot of the times Jokic is always one away from said triple double, whether it's a rebound or whether it's an assist. He tends to be one away from the triple double. So what happens in those cases, a lot of times it's a blowout. He just doesn't play for the rest of the fourth quarter or at all in the fourth quarter. And he's one assist, one rebound shy. No big deal. He has like a bunch of those. So if you really think about it, he's not padding his stats, because if that was the case, in a 23-point lead with 7 minutes left to go in the game, he would probably come back in and get that one more assist or get that one more rebound or one more point or whatever. He would do that, right? Also, the argument could go, he's a selfish player. And that was another thing. Kendrick Perkins was trying to call him selfish. He's a selfish player for passing the ball. Never heard that one before. But, hey, that was Kendrick Perkins' take. So JJ Redick came on first take. Perk wasn't on there. Had his rebuttal saying like he wouldn't do that. So Kendrick Perkins, but just bad takes. Comes and is like, JJ, you should know more than anyone else. You've been in those locker rooms. It happens. Completely deviating from what the original argument was. Jokic stat pads, point A to point B. Somehow there's a there's a bunch of stuff, because then it turns in from Jokic stat pads to, well, the rest, how it goes on. The people in the NBA stat pad all the time. Complete, total opposite of what the argument is. You said Jokic was stat padding, not that the entire NBA stat pads, or a lot of players do. And then it switched because JJ Redick's like, no, he doesn't. And he's like, how dare you, JJ, say that when you know how it goes on. And then Kendrick Perkins hilariously compares himself to Jokic and says, I've done it with my field goal percentage. You stink. Like, bro, just keep it real. Like, you suck. You are trash. Like, there's nothing else to say. You are not on the same caliber as him. So don't compare. So by your thought process, because you stat padded in 2010, that means Jokic in 2023 is stat padding his assists. His argument is that the Nuggets just chuck up shots whenever he passes the ball. Yeah, because they're open. They're open. If you're getting double teamed and you pass it, you're gonna be open. Like, I just don't understand I don't understand the thought process. I really don't. I just don't get it. I really do not get it. I just don't. And he goes on and on about, the team is just doing this for him and blah blah blah. Mind you, the team is 24, well, at the time, well, now, let's just say now, the team is 24-0 when Jokic has had a triple double this season. 24-0. They have won 28 or 29 straight games, including last season, when he's gotten a triple double. So if he's getting a triple double in stat padding, it's winning games. It's winning games. So then the worst part comes, and then he tries to come in with the argument, Jokic is not in the top 10 in scoring this year. Steve Nash wasn't, and Dirk wasn't. Now, before I get into what his argument was really about, the previous two MVP years, Jokic was in the top 10 in scoring. If you take away certain people who didn't qualify for top 10 scoring. So that was another problem. He was including players in this argument since 1990 of players that some players weren't even qualified. Some players weren't even qualified, and he was using them for his argument. That's problem number one. So Dirk was top 10 in his year that he won MVP. Obviously, Steve Nash isn't going to be in top 10 MVP. It is what it is. And Jokic was in his two previous years. Now, will he be this year? No. Now, let me tell you this. Why did he go to 1990? Because if you do the years before that, and I believe it's 1982 or 1983. I want to say 1982. That's when the media started voting. If you go prior to 1990, 3 of those MVPs went to Magic Johnson. 2 of those years, he was not in the top 10 in scoring. That defeats the purpose of his argument because it's Magic Johnson. And there's another reason why it defeats the purpose of his argument is because he believes that the reason why Dirk, Nash, and Jokic won MVP is because there's a racist racial bias for those players because they're white. That was his real argument. He goes in and is like, why is that? I'll let it marinate. Think about it. Big Tough. I'll think about it. It's just stupid. To say Dirk didn't deserve an MVP because he was white, or he got it because he was white and didn't deserve it, or Jokic or Nash. And I get the argument with Nash. I get it. You might have not thought he should have gotten it in 06 over Kobe. I get it. But the argument when it comes to that, they were the 7th seed. And at that time, they really were counting records. So he was the 7th seed. The team wasn't good. The team won 43, 44 games. And if you want to go back, Jokic did it last year. Jokic won 48 games and was a 6th seed. And Jokic didn't even start the trend. It was Westbrook. Westbrook was the first person where the MVP voters said, hey, this is unprecedented. He deserves it despite having this record and this seeding. And Westbrook got it. So it wasn't Jokic that started this trend of, records don't matter. It was Westbrook. Okay? And we'll speak on Westbrook too, because I feel bad that he's being thrown in this, but it'll come full circle, trust me. Now, the whole race thing, I get, you might think Kobe should have won it, but Steve Nash did deserve it. They were the best offense the last 2 years, and he was the catalyst for that. Now, would I have picked Kobe maybe, or even LeBron or someone else? Maybe in 06. 05, it should go to Steve Nash. The Suns went from a terrible team to the best team in basketball, all because Steve Nash went to the Suns, Mike D'Antoni changed the offense, and Steve Nash was the catalyst. Definitely should have gotten MVP that year. Dirk 100% should have gotten MVP. They won 66, 67 games that year. I just don't understand. And this year, Jokic is undefeated while having triple doubles. I get he's not scoring a lot, but he's doing everything else. So to bring up race in an argument about MVP is lunacy. It's just idiotic. It is terrible, terrible basketball takes. And it's just terrible TV to even put that out there. Stephen A. Smith was even alarmed, and he's amazing with his hot takes. Skip Bayless couldn't even think of something like that. But Perkins thinks about that, and then you got people on Twitter who are obviously going in on Perkins, but a lot of people do say Westbrook. Oh, when Westbrook was doing it, people were calling him a stat pattern. Big difference. There is probably a Jokic, I think, is shooting like 63%. There's probably like a 20 to 21% difference in field goal percentage between Jokic and Russ. How many times I gotta say the team's undefeated this year while he has a triple double and they're the 1 seed. So him averaging the triple double is definitely different when Westbrook averaged it. So that's another argument. Another thing is, well, the stat padding and blah blah blah. Westbrook had players that were boxing out for him to get the rebound. Now you could make the case that was to start the offense early, sure, but there is a difference, and if you can't tell the difference, then I don't know what you're watching. I don't know what you're watching if you cannot tell the difference. So JJ Redick comes on First Take today, and they have the debate, and JJ Redick goes pretty much like, dude, why are you implying that race has anything to do with this? And Perkins hilariously goes, I'm not. It's a fact. So pretty much it's like, I didn't say that, and then goes, wait a minute, it's a fact. Just complete flipped within the same 30 seconds. Flips it. Then he goes, 80% of the media voters are white. What does that have to do with Jokic winning MVP? The dude, he thinks Joel Embiid should win MVP, and maybe he should. Joel Embiid has been amazing this year. He has been dominant. He, as I'm recording this, he just destroyed the Timberwolves and Rudy Gobert. I don't even think he missed a 3 tonight. I think he went 4 for 4 from 3. Joel Embiid was crazy tonight. Even without Harden, just went bonkers tonight. But I understand you want to make a case, but just make the case. To say the voters are racist. Why are the voters racist? Were they racist when Giannis won it, or Derrick Rose, or Harden, or Westbrook, or LeBron, or Durant? Were they racist? Now it's not racist because Jokic is going to win it 3 years in a row. And once again, people, context matters. I hate when people don't use context for things, because if we want to go break down each MVP season, Joel Embiid could have won it the first year Jokic won it. Joel Embiid missed 21 games in a 72-game season. That is... No, you can't win it like that, and that sucks because a lot of players miss games those years. But Jokic had a great season and played a lot of games. I know people want to say, "Oh, is it a participation award?" To a certain degree, it is. You have to play at least a certain amount of games. Think about, would you want someone to win MVP if they played 59, 60 games in an 82-game season? I don't think you would. If that's the case, Kawhi should be winning MVPs a lot more. But anyway, and also that season, Steph Curry didn't even make the playoffs, and people wanted him to win MVP over Jokic. Interesting. But whatever. Then the next year, Jokic wins MVP again. You could make the case for Giannis. A lot of people had Giannis. A lot of people had Joel Embiid. But Jokic ends up winning it again. Despite being the 6th seed, whatever. That's a whole nother debate. Now, if you want to go to previous year, also, Kendrick Perkins thought Chris Paul or Devin Booker should win MVP. The year he thinks Chris Paul should win MVP, him and Nick Wright were pushing the Chris Paul. Where was Chris Paul ranked in points? If this whole top 10 in points thing is such a big deal, where was Chris Paul ranked at in points? Exactly. Not even top 30. So why does the argument change now? He keeps talking about the goalposts are moving. The goalposts aren't necessarily moving. It's a year-by-year basis. It's a year-by-year basis. And sometimes the record could matter. Sometimes it depends. It's a year-by-year basis as to who's the most valuable in the regular season. This isn't a total points award, okay? It's not a who's in the top 5 in points per game? Okay, you guys are the MVP candidates. That's not how it works. It's never been done that way. It just so happens that now someone's winning it that you don't want to win. So you make up stupid arguments, including using the race angle for it. It's stupid. It's dumb. Okay? Should he win MVP? Should he not win MVP? That's up to you. It truly does not matter. And that's the other thing. A lot of people don't think the MVP might necessarily matter. Then why is this a debate every single day on ESPN, on FS1, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter? It's a debate every day, but then whoever wins, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter now? But you want to argue about it every single day. And this whole thing of, oh, now how he's going to win 3 MVPs, but he's never won an NBA Finals and blah, blah, blah. He still has time. Crazy enough, LaShawn McCoy, former NFL player, I know, LaShawn McCoy, said on, I don't even know what that show is called on FS1. I don't watch any of the sports take shows, really. But he goes, he's 27. He still has time. Why does he have to win it now? And if you think about it, the last 2 years, how was he going to win it? How was he going to win it? He lost to the team, again, the Phoenix Suns year, loses to them, gets swept, whatever. Loses to them, they make the NBA Finals. Who are his guards? Austin Rivers, Marcus Howard, not in the league. Facu Campazzo, not in the league. Will Barton, the 9th, 10th man on the Raptors after he got bought out by my Wizards. My Wizards suck, and they couldn't even play Will Barton. Context has to matter to a certain degree. It just does. Then he loses to the Warriors in the first round. Oh, we can't get out of the first round. He lost to a team that ended up winning the championship with the greatest shooting backcourt ever. A dynastic team. But why didn't he get out the first round? Oh, maybe because he didn't have Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal Murray. This is the first time since the bubble that Jokic will have a fully healthy team. So the pressure is on him. But this isn't make or break. Oh, if he doesn't win the NBA Finals or make the NBA Finals, all his MVPs are invalid. He will never be successful. Why does it have to be like that? Jordan and LeBron didn't win until this age. They didn't win before. People can't be like Tim Duncan or Kobe and win at a very young age. And in those cases, those were abnormal because of who they had around them. Tim Duncan had a David Robinson. Kobe had Shaq. If you're the best player on the team at a certain age, it's going to take a while. It is. That's just how the NBA has always worked. And the biggest issue when it comes to the NBA is that NBA media is just like Twitter. There's no distinguishing of the two. Their takes are just like the bad hot Twitter takes. It's the same thing. Kendrick Perkins saying what he said is some stuff that you would see from a guy with 200 followers on Twitter right now. And there's no way to distinguish. NFL, they have people like Mina Kimes, Dan Orlovsky, Damian Woody. All of these guys will go on NFL Live, and it's a total difference than the people that have takes on Twitter. Total difference. Baseball, the takes aren't. I mean, you have hot takes, but it's not as egregious as like the people that would be on TV. Outside of maybe like a unwritten rules thing, but usually the people on Twitter are right about the unwritten rule stuff. But NBA is the only sport I know where NBA media heads who are in their 40s pretend as though they're like Twitter figures with no avatar either. Just the avatar of like their favorite player or something. And it's just crazy to me that they'll go on TV and say this stuff, and then it comes back to Twitter, and it's just this whole circle of terrible takes, of just no continuity, no sort of direction as to what they're saying. It's just, how bold can I possibly be today? You know, and it's like every game is a make or break game. Oh, you lost to the Houston Rockets on a Monday? Hey, you might be washed. Or you didn't score 25 points? Hey, you cannot be MVP. Or, wow, you're the 3rd seed and you only won in 6 games. So something's wrong with your team. Or you're the 6th seed and you lose in 5 games, but you have someone that's first team All NBA. Oh, he didn't deserve it. Regular season versus postseason, nope, doesn't matter. Postseason should count for MVP. So why is there conference finals MVPs now? Don't matter. There's always context for things. And that is the biggest issue when it comes to the NBA, is that there's no context. Or there is context, but people want to avoid context. Okay? And that is the biggest issue right now, avoiding context. And this rings culture, I don't know where it started. I feel like it started with Barkley was on TNT, and like the guys would really get on him for never winning a ring. And then, Skip Bayless came along and really pressured LeBron into winning. And now everyone has to win. There's only one champ. I didn't know if you knew this. Little secret from me to you. There's only one champion each year. But somehow 20 different people have to win it. If Chris Paul doesn't win it this year, he can't be a top 5 point guard ever. If Jokic doesn't win it this year, he cannot be MVP or first team All NBA or be considered an MVP ever again. If Joel Embiid doesn't win it this year, then Joel Embiid's a fraud. Oh, if Giannis can't win another ring, then maybe he will never be a top 20 player. If Kevin Durant doesn't win it, it's just everyone has to win it in 1 year. And if you don't, you're a fraud. That is how the NBA works. Imagine if the NFL worked that way. Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be able to see the light of day. No pun intended, because he didn't last week or the week before, where he went on his like little detox. But anyway, imagine if this worked in the NFL. If Justin Jefferson or whoever you think is the number one receiver without a ring. Like, let's say Justin Jefferson doesn't win a ring for the next 3 years. Well, Justin Jefferson can't be a top 3 receiver. Sorry. That is what it's like hearing every single day. Whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on ESPN, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, it doesn't matter. Kendrick Perkins is stupid. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. I'll say it. He's stupid. To use these different angles just to say Jokic is an MVP because he pads his stats, and how does JJ Redick? How do you not know he doesn't pad those stats? How do you know? You don't know that, man, but you apparently do, because of your years in the NBA before. I don't even remember when he retired, like 2016. So because you played in the league, you automatically know that he's padding his stats. But JJ Redick doesn't know, because he talked to the players. Well, they could be lying to you. JJ Redick also played in the league. Well, he should know. Okay, so everyone has to do it because Kendrick Perkins said it. Got it. Because JJ Redick doesn't know him personally, but since Perkins doesn't also know him personally, he has to be right because he's the one saying this is the fact. This is the fact. So that makes him right. Got it. These arguments are stupid. Just don't understand them. If you don't think Jokic is going to win MVP, okay, that's you. But some people think he should. Doesn't mean that the media is racist. The fact that Jokic is doing such a great job this year that we got NBA media thinking that the league is racist for him is crazy. He should get MVP. Just because of that, he should get MVP. That's crazy. Anyway, Ja, stop flashing your gun. Perk, shut up. And then he's gonna go on Twitter and be like, "Oh, you guys are afraid to say what I'm afraid to say." No, because no one wants to say what you gotta say because it's stupid. Anyway, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to the other YouTube channels of Cooper Sports. Please don't forget to join the Discord. The link will be in the description. Please like, comment, and sub to the channel. Really want to build this channel up and do a lot more. So please support Hoops with Coop. And I will see you all next week. Take care. And please watch basketball for what it is. And you do not need to have a hot take every 5 seconds. So everyone, take care. Enjoy the rest of your week and watch some basketball. Make some bets. Please don't forget to hit that sub button.